The sky's not even the limit because I'm 70 years old and I'm still going for the gusto.
One of the world's leading experts in the law of attraction.
Best-selling author, one of the stars of the movie The Secret.
A remarkable man by the name of Joe Vitale.
And one of the top 5 inspirational speakers in the world.
That's the long and short story.
Doctor, what is this within you that is constantly striving to learn is optimism?
One of the secrets to success is to say yes, even when you don't know how to do it.
What drives you? What's your legacy?
I'm not interested in legacy. I'm interested in now. I want to know, how can I help people now? What can I do now? What can I create? What music, what movie, what book? Now. I didn't know it at the time, but I would call it a gladiator mindset because it really was the mindset of do or die. Every day I would get up and I'd want to face the sun and I would look for that good news and it would not come. It would absolutely crush me. It would crush my spirit. It would crush my hope. And yet the next day I would have to get up and try it again. It was not easy, suicidally hard. I had a shotgun and I was going to take my life. I still remember the moment.
What made you not pull the trigger?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Gladiators, a very special day for us today because I'm actually going to interview an idol of mine all the way from the US, Dr. Joe Vitale from The Secret, and an author of 75 books, a gentleman that I can do 5 hours of podcast with because I've got so many questions to ask. So without further ado, Doctor, welcome. Welcome to the arena.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I've been looking forward to this.
Thank you so much. Do you know much about what I do or at all? Have you done any research on what we do? Did my team introduce us to you?
No, it's been a while since I was booked to be on this show, and I think we rescheduled at one point because you're so busy. So I don't know much, no.
Thank you so much. What we do is I have a story just like yourself. Made it, lost it, made it, lost it, and somehow made it again. And what I felt was that the new generation are lacking that desire and the get up and go to actually, because things are coming too easy to them right now. So I have an association or some kind of a attachment to gladiators of 2,000 years ago. So what we've done is we brought out a program called Gladiator Mastery because I felt nowadays people can swipe to the left, swipe to the right. They don't have to. You just send their mass email their CVs and they expect things to happen to them. You know, they talk about intentions. They sit on the couch with a remote control and visualize things. Unless you take action, nothing's going to happen. They don't practice their actions, the maneuvers, the defense, offense. So what I've done is, because I've had 2 heart attacks, lost fortunes, I've kind of shared my experiences and say, you don't have to lose. You don't have to get rejected, right? You can be, because 2,000 years ago, you couldn't go into battle thinking you're going to lose 80% of the time because you'll die. So if you have the same intentions going to battle and you practiced your maneuvers, you should win more often than lose. So I've created this thing called Gladiator Mastery, and we have about 1.5 million followers now in our tribe. A lot of them are in the Middle East, but I recently got interviewed in the US and I got 5.5 million views on our podcast. So there's a lot of traction. People are really interested in our story, and I want you to inspire them like you've inspired me. I would love you to share your life story with us, and then we can go into the books and why you're so prolific in writing and contributing, but you don't have to. So if you don't mind, we just share that with the audience. Love to hear your story.
Well, I love your story. I did not know about the whole gladiator approach. And I love the do it or die kind of an attitude that is behind what you're doing. So I'm inspired by your approach, and I'm glad that you're doing it. You're going to help a whole lot of people. They need that. They need it for a lot of reasons. As for my story, I don't even know where to begin. I was
Before
homeless.
you do, Doctor, before you do, I'm going to set you my intention. Have you been to Dubai before?
Yes.
When was the last time you came?
Oh, 5 or 6 years ago.
It's changed. It changes monthly here. My intention is after this, we have some kind of a connection and I have a
Mhm.
big event coming in January, and my intention is to bring you over for my event.
Ah, all right.
So I'm going to set the
I
intention.
allow it. Yes, I love that. I love intentions too, so I'm glad that you stated
I'll
that.
be honored.
All right. I was homeless at one point. I was in poverty for a good 10 years. And throughout it all, I was writing because I wanted to be an author. I wanted to write books that helped people be happier. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know when it would happen, but that was my goal. That was my intention, and I was pursuing it. But it was a very, very long road. It probably lasted 20 years before my first book was published. And my first book was 1984, and it came and went. I didn't have another book for 10 years. And during that time, I was still working, I was still struggling. I got published again, and it started to get a little bit easier. But throughout it all, I had to have I didn't know it at the time, but I would call it a gladiator mindset because it really was the mindset of do or die. This is what my mission is, in my opinion. I'm here to be an author, I'm here to write books. And by God, I was going to keep writing until something shifted. And of course, something did. In the 1990s, I started to get a name for myself as a copywriter, as a marketer, as an author. I started to help other people write their own books. Along the way, the internet came along, and I was one of the first to go online. I was one of the first to write a book on how to make money online. And I kept doing that. And, as you keep moving forward, you keep taking action, you start to get some breaks. One was the internet. The next big one was the movie The Secret. And I was invited to be in the movie The Secret because I had written books, one of them about the law of attraction. My book, The Attractor Factor, was getting a lot of attention. And a movie director in Australia read it, called me up, and said she was making a movie about the law of attraction and would I be in it? And I had never been in a movie at that point, but I had learned one of the secrets to success is to say yes, even when you don't know how to do it. You can learn that later. So I said yes. And of course, I was in the movie The Secret. I'm still benefiting from that 17 years later because people are still discovering the movie and they're still discovering me. I'm still on my onward quest of learning, growing, awakening, and helping. I'm still writing books, and I also became a musician along the way. I've written 90 books. I've recorded 15 albums. I'm in 20 some movies besides The Secret. I have my own movie in production right now called Zero Limits. And, the sky's not even the limit because I'm 70 years old and I'm still going for the gusto. That's the long and short story.
Amazing. I've got so much questions to ask you. Okay, let's go back to when you had nothing and you were writing. You were
Yeah.
writing about, I guess, positivity and intentions and good things could happen to you. Well, your surroundings were falling apart. So your surroundings were telling you you're not making it. How hard was that? And how did you overcome that? Those internal dialogues are telling you, because I've been through it. And it's hard when your surroundings telling you you're a failure. I've made no money. I have nothing to, I can't contribute to my kids' school fees. And then you got to keep going forward. How did you do that, doctor? And for 10 years, or even
I
20?
got chills because of that question. I got chills. It's such an excellent question. First of all, I didn't know about the power of intention. I didn't really know about positive thinking. I wanted to write novels and plays and books on a wide variety of subjects, but I wasn't really wanting to write about self help. I was reading self help because I needed help. So, how hard was it? Suicidally hard. It was excruciating.
I'm getting emotional. I
Y-
swear to you. We got
Oh,
10,000
you
miles between us, and I'm getting emotional listening to you because it's just
there is
triggering
no
those feelings.
there are no words to describe how difficult it was because every day I would get up and I'd want to face the sun and I would look for that good news and it would not come. It would crush me. It would absolutely crush me. It would crush my spirit. It would crush my hope. And yet the next day I would have to get up and try it again. And I'll tell you, they talk about a dark night of the soul. That dark night of the soul lasted a good 10 years. It was not easy. And I freely admit that at one point I had a shotgun and I took it out and I was going to take my life. I still remember the moment because it just felt like this is not working. This is not winning. I am wrong. I thought that I was here to be an author. Nobody is publishing me. There's no internet. There's nothing that is going to make this a little bit easier for me back in that day. And it just felt like it's not going to happen. And I might as well give up.
What made you not pull the trigger?
That's the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? I'll tell you, it's one word: curiosity. I kept thinking, what if it shifts tomorrow? What if
Optimism,
the opening
hope,
comes next week
hope.
or next month?
Yeah.
And I would have pulled the plug on my own life. I thought I gotta hang in there. The sun always rises. If I can focus on the idea that there's always progress and there's always hope, and I could believe in myself even when I looked around and there was no evidence, none, and no support team.
Because
Nobody
nobody's
saying,
there.
"Hey,
When
Joe,
you're
go in
down,
and
there's
do it."
nobody there.
I'm sorry?
When you're down, there's support isn't there.
Right?
Especially in the 80s and 90s, when you didn't have access to information so easily.
You know, when I was homeless, I lived in the public library in Dallas, Texas. And on one level, it was sad because I had no home, I had no car, I had no money, I had no job. On another level, though, it was fantastic. I love books. I'm in the public library with all the books in the world that are free, and it's air conditioned, and they have a bathroom, and they have water. And so what I was doing was working on myself through the public library and the self-improvement books. So I was reading Dale Carnegie and Claude Bristol and Napoleon Hill and the classics of success literature.
Yes.
The difficult part was I was by myself trying to do it. There was nobody to coach me,
Or
nobody
guide
to
you.
mentor me.
Yes.
Back then, coaches were little league coaches and football coaches. I never heard of a self-development coach, and if there was one, I didn't have any money. I couldn't have paid for them anyway. So that's where I found support. Thank God that Napoleon Hill and these greats of the success literature wrote their books. Those books were the lifesavers. Those books are what got me to keep getting up every morning thinking, it might be today.
These
It
masters
might be
have a
today
message for
that
me.
something shifts.
Yes, yes. Doctor, what is this within you that is constantly striving to learn is optimism? Do you have, I know you talk about inner child. I'm sure you reflected on your own life and thought, this is my great grandfather's DNA, my granddad's DNA. What was it that was in your DNA that made you seek, want to help, want to grow when all the chips were down?
That's a wonderful question, and I can understand why you would ask it and look at my bloodline and thinking it's in DNA, but I don't think it is.
Or your
I think it's
upbringing?
the life spirit itself within me. I think it's the life spirit. You can call it the God force, you can call it a higher power. Napoleon Hill called it infinite intelligence. I think that seed that was driving me was the God force, the life force, the drive for more that was inborn in me. I don't know that it was in anybody else in my family. My parents didn't read books. The rest of my family didn't want to write books or read books. Nobody, as far as I knew, going back in history, my family came from Italy. They were starving. They were farmers. They weren't thinking about writing books that I'm aware of. So for me, it's like that was born into me.
So
That
you
was
think it's
part of
like
my
somebody has
makeup.
a gift. This was your gift of a higher
My
power and
gift
the light.
I actually think that each one of us has that kind of a gift.
Mhm.
It's different for each one of us. Not everybody wants to be an author. I wanted to be an author. I've written 90 some books at this point. I'm still writing. I got more ideas. I want to do more of that. That's my calling. Each person has some sort of calling in them. It could be big or it can be small, depending on how you perceive it and how you judge it. But a mother raising kids, and this is her focus, could be living her life calling and doing the most noble thing in her life by taking care of those kids. Somebody else wants to open a bakery in Dubai and wants to have the greatest, whatever the dessert might be. And that's their drive. It's not my drive. It's their drive. But I think each one of us has some sort of seed of a drive that we came in with.
Do you think the challenge is to find that seed? Because people are looking for their passion. What you hear is
Yeah.
follow your passion. But I'm not sure that's the answer. It's
Yeah.
how do you discover that seed? You were
Well, that's a
lucky.
great question
Yeah.
too. I used to say my secret to success was following my passion because that's all I've ever done. But if I unpack that a little bit, I would think I've followed my fascinations. I've followed my curiosities. I have followed what was the mystery for me. To give you an example, I remember I was broke and homeless and struggling way back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And I read the Robert Collier letter book. The Robert Collier letter book, he was a famous copywriter and so forth. And he mentioned a fellow by the name of Bruce Barton. And something in me got activated. And I said, "Who is Bruce Barton?" And I went on this quest to learn everything I could about Bruce Barton while I was broke. I was using the library, I was using the interlibrary system and so forth. I was following what was curious to me. That ended up becoming a book. I did not know it would be a book called The Seven Lost Secrets of Success. That book has gone around the world. It's been translated in different languages. One person alone, bought 20,000 copies of it, which really helped elevate me out of homelessness and poverty because suddenly there was a flush of money. The book's still in print. The book has been republished by a major publisher. I did not know it would be a book. I was following what I was curious about. My fascination about Bruce Barton led me down this road. That road led to a book. That book led to a success. It was one of my early successes before the internet, before people knew my name, before The Secret. All of that came because I was curious. So I think following your own inner drive, your own what's curious to you, what's fascinating to you, and maybe what is your passion, all of that leads to the doorway that you step through that is the success for you personally.
And not necessarily is monetary, because you just had to dig and you keep going, and the money is a byproduct of the effort you put in.
Exactly. Oh, I never thought about money during it. I mean, I was starving, so I wanted some money so I can
To
eat and
live,
buy a
yes.
car and all of that. No, the drive was almost an obsession. It was like, who is Bruce Barton? What happened to Bruce Barton? Why did he disappear? What were the books he written? Why is this captivating to me? And then I just follow it and I end up going, oh, I think this is a book. Oh, I think it's called The Seven Lost Secrets of Success.
Wow.
And then I just keep following the breadcrumbs, if you will, the signs
how
that
long
say,
did it
just
take you
keep
to
pursuing
write
this.
this, Doctor? How long did it take to write this book, The Seven Laws? Did it just,
Uh,
you got inspired and you wrote it quickly, or did it take you months, weeks?
oh, I wrote the book quickly, but the research took months because I didn't know who Bruce Barton was. And remember, there wasn't an internet where I can just sit there and click and Google it. I had to go through the library, and I was using an interlibrary loan system, which meant I would go to my local library, tell them what I wanted. They go and find it at another library.
And
It would
bring
be
it over.
mailed to them. So it was a long process of research. Once I understood who Bruce Barton was, and he was a best-selling author, he was a legendary advertising man, he was famous and forgotten, I realized I thought this could be a book. And when I realized it was a book and I started to hone in on the seven secrets that I felt he used, writing the book was relatively easy. It was the research that took some time.
Yes, incredible. And did you have a publishing contract and the money came? What was your feeling when you got your first check?
Oh, that is a wonderful question, too. I did not have a publisher. I did not have an agent. I did not have a publishing contract. Remember, I'm broke. I'm unknown. I'm trying my best to become an author, but I'm not getting much support from the universe. It is me just trying everything. And I found a guy who wanted to be a publisher. So remember, I'm a first time author who wants to be published.
And you
I
got a
find a
first-time
man who's not a
publisher.
publisher, but he wants to be a publisher. We found our marriage, so to speak, and he published the book. So I became a published author. He became a publisher, And that was back in 92. We're still friends today. In fact, I think his birthday's next week. I love the
Incredible.
guy. He
Incredible.
helped me when I was crying for help, and I helped him when he wanted to do something else as an entrepreneur. So I had to find a publisher.
Incredible. And there's no such thing as a coincidence. What I say to my followers is that no matter how down you are, never be desperate. Because most people don't want to invest in a desperate person. How do you feel
I
about
totally
that?
agree with that.
Yes.
I love that. Don't be desperate. Desperation is a low energy that, from an advanced understanding of how the world works, brings more to be desperate about. So if somebody is feeling desperate, first of all, nobody wants to be around you because you're drowning. And they sense that. They may not be able to put their finger on it. They may not be able to spell it out or explain it, but they sense it. The other thing is the universe is not a desperate place. The universe is an abundant place. If you come from the desperate side of the universe, you will actually attract, to use the law of attraction concept,
Scarcity.
more to be desperate about.
Correct. Yes. One of the things that I get is with the power of social media, we get a lot of hate. And I had a podcast a month ago with two ladies from the States who have a very popular TV program. Now it's very shallow and flashy. And I posted it last week. And I cannot believe it. Two lovely ladies that mind their own business. I had hundreds of hate messages towards them. And one, I was thinking, why are you following them if you hate them? And
Right.
two, who are they harming? And a lot of them had private profiles, so they don't want to be seen. And I thought these people are living in a world of scarcity. They see somebody in abundance and doing well, whatever their line of, they're not harming anyone. Why do you think there's so much hate out there? Haters. Now with the power of social media, people are judging and self-opinionated, and it was so unfair because I got to see them. They're just harmless people who are using their looks to prosper. I think there's abundance for everyone. There's a room for everybody. But it breaks my heart to think that so many people sitting in their couches posting horrible things about people they don't know.
Well, I would agree with you there. One of the things that I've been teaching is that we live in an optical illusion. The world is an optical illusion. You get what you believe, you get what you perceive. So if you look out there and you think it's a desperate place, you think it's scarcity, you think it's all based on hatred, you think it's everybody trying to take advantage of everybody else, you can look around and find evidence for that. You can find books about that. You can find authorities that'll back you up. You'll find the statistics. By the same token, if you shift and you believe the world is an opulent place, an abundant place, a beautiful place, and miracles take place, you can find the evidence for that. You can find the statistics, you can find the authors, you can find the books, you can find the studies. So now we have to stop and think, if both can be proven, which one do you want to live in?
What do you
Life
think?
is an optical illusion.
What do you
You
think?
can choose to be in scarcity and you can live there. You can choose to be in abundance and you can live there. It's a choice once you're aware that you have the choice.
Where do you think most people lie?
What was the question? Where do I think
Where do you
most?
think most people lie? In the world of abundance or scarcity?
Scarcity.
Why do you think
Most are in
I agree.
scarcity, and
I
that's
agree.
because the world's already been going in that direction for so long that people are born into it. When most of us are born, we're not born to Mr. and Mrs. Buddha. We're born to parents that have their own limitations, that have their own scarcity mindset, which they inherited from their parents. So when people are born, they don't typically get born into a view of the world being abundant. I'm sure there's exceptions, but for the most of us, we're already born into this stream of consciousness that says, hey, it's scarce out there. It's a war out there. You better get your club and you better be ready for battle. That's what most people are taught unconsciously. And what they need to understand is the other view of the world is available too.
Wow.
Most people will go to their death and never know it.
Yes.
However,
Does it break your
because of
heart, doctor? Does it break
what
your
I'm
heart?
hoping is the work I'm doing and the work you're
Yeah,
doing,
yeah.
they can have an awakening.
How does that make you feel?
It's exhilarating. It's exhilarating. If
Wow.
I can, first of all, live from the abundance. I already lived in the scarcity. I know what that's like.
Yes.
I'd rather be in abundance. But by the same token, by helping people see that, that's exhilarating. That is like fulfilling my mission. That is like the greatest trophy of all time, to know that I helped pull somebody out of the darkness and brought them into the light. And then they can do the same by their example, by their living, by whatever they're doing, to help other people awaken. There's no feeling like that. It's priceless.
You know, you just taught me something really deep in my heart, because I feel maybe I get disappointed when people don't change. And
Yeah.
what you just taught me is that focus on the people, or the few that who do change.
Yeah.
Because I sometimes feel exhausted that some people had the tools and they didn't use it. But what you're saying now, focus on the few who do use it.
Exactly.
And let them inspire you. Don't focus on the ones who don't. Because that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. Well, this goes back to what you focus on is what expands. So if we do focus on what's working, we get more of what's not working, and we just find problems everywhere we look. But if we focus on what is working, which is the basis of positive psychology, you will enlarge it. You will see more of it. You will attract more of it. So it's always wiser to do that. I also remind myself not everybody likes the same book. They don't like the same food. They don't like the same movie. So if I lay out a buffet and I really think that one dish is fantastic, when somebody walks up and they skip it, I got to realize they're still eating, just not what I thought they needed to eat.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
I allow them the freedom of choice. They have free will. So do I.
I love that. Are you driven by the heart or the head?
Heart, all heart.
Because you don't need
Used
to
to be
do
by
that.
the head, but I found out my head doesn't know how to get around most things in life.
Yeah.
It thinks it does, and that's where the ego comes into play. And while I don't think the ego is actually an enemy, I do think it needs to be a servant. So what I tend to do is listen to the heart. I think the heart is my connection to the great something, to God, to the divine, whatever you want to call it. And so when I receive a message through my heart, like this is the way to go, or write about Bruce Barton, or anything that I don't understand, I use my head to try to understand it and try to bring it into being.
Wow.
So we want to work together, but I would say more, I'm following the heart.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'm getting all this lesson for nothing. I really appreciate it. Do you have a family, doctor? You have a family, children?
Well, I don't have kids, if that's what you're referring to. My kids are 90 books, so I have 90 children.
I was thinking, how do you balance it all? Did you have a partner when you had nothing? Or did the
Oh,
partner?
yes. Yes, I'm on my third long-term relationship. And during the struggle years, I was married, and they were awful years for both of us because we were two lonely people who reached out to try to find companionship in a world that was dark and confusing and desperate. But we were together 20 some years through all that struggle time, and she was very supportive of me. And in fact, when I wanted to be a writer, she was the one, once we were married, she was the one who took a job so that she could pay the basic bills because she was encouraging me to follow my dream of being a writer. So, but we didn't have kids, and the same with that first wife died in 2005, which is a sad moment for me, not just because of the death, but because my upswing in success
Came
started to
after.
begin around that time,
Yes.
and I wasn't able to give her the life she really deserved,
Yes.
and I longed to give her, and that's a regret.
What do you think of death, doctor? What do you think of life, birth, death? Do you think there's something after? Do you think this is it? What's your opinion?
That's a great question. I love your questions.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, I don't know. I'm still here with everybody else, so I don't really know when you step through the doorway what happens. I have fluctuated where I've gone through, it has turned to dust. It's over. the plug is pulled, the lights are off, there's no electricity, you're gone. Two, thinking you merge with all of life. More of the mindset that all of life is recycled. We all get recycled. We get recycled, and instead of being in this form, I'm moved into another form. What that form is, I don't know. Am I an angelic being? Do I end up reincarnated as some other person? I don't really have any idea. My latest thinking about it is that we are a child of the divine. The divine loves us, and the divine has given me the gift of life. And I feel that the divine is going to keep that life going in some other form after I leave this form.
Amazing. Do you fear death?
Do I fear death? No.
Because I'm like you. I'm in I would say, second half of my life, right? Where there's
Yes.
more days behind us than there's in front of us. Does that,
Right.
because you were a late bloomer, do you feel that's pushed you to accelerate? And because not many 70-year-olds have the energy that you have. I'm nearly 60, and I feel the same because I lost it. I have so much to catch up. I've got so much to give, so much to contribute, and there's lesser days.
That's another great question. You know, I don't feel 70. That's the important insight. I feel more like I'm in my 30s, and some of the people I'm closest to are high energy, athletic fireballs who are in their 20s and 30s, and I'm right there with them, feeling like I'm their brother or sister. I helped a guy in Thailand who's a billionaire write a book called Homeless to Billionaire. He had been homeless, and he was 35 years old when I first met him, and I was approaching 70. We were like brothers. I don't feel 70, and I think that's part of what keeps the energy going.
Yeah.
I don't feel 70. I don't fear death, and I don't sense it's coming. I know because everybody tells me death is coming, and I've seen people die. But
You
in
don't
my
think
case, it
about
feels like maybe I'm just going to slip through
Mhm.
and it won't touch me. So part of me thinks just keep writing, just keep living, just keep going for your dreams. And one day you don't wake up. Well, that's what happened.
Yeah.
But I don't feel 70.
Beautiful, beautiful. And do you think about your legacy? Because what you're doing now is going to be there forever, right? 90 books, so many self-help books. You've helped thousands of people. I'll give you a quick background.
Okay.
I lost my father when I was 3. I lost my grandfather when I was 7. And I witnessed too much death at a young age. So I was very aware of time. And, you know, you're not guaranteed anything in the future. About 20 years ago, I'm Iranian born. I went to Iran, and a number of people turned up to see me. And I was like, they don't know anything about me. I haven't been there 50 years. Why are they here to see me? They said they came to pay homage and respect to you because of your grandfather.
Wow.
And I thought that's really interesting. The legacy he left behind has affected his grandchild. So I can only do good. So what drives me is the legacy I leave behind. So my great grandkids can have a look at YouTube or say, oh, we have something special to follow, something good. This was his message. What drives you? What's your legacy?
It is not legacy at all. In fact, there was a consultant who tried to get me to hire him a few years ago, and he began by saying, what do you want to leave as your legacy? Let me help you with your legacy. And I thought, boy, talk about a disconnect. I'm not interested in legacy. I'm interested in now. I want to know, how can I help people now? What can I do now? What can I create? What music, what movie, what book now? Part of it is I don't know what's going to happen to the planet after I'm gone. All the things that I consider to be legacy can go up in smoke. An asteroid could hit and it's all gone. The sun could burn out and everything's gone. I don't know what's going to happen. So I don't care about legacy. If there is a book or two that lives beyond me, I will be so proud and so grateful. But I'd rather help people right now. That's more important, and that's what drives me.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's like that childlike enthusiasm, because children are happiest when they're in the now.
Yes.
They're focusing on that box. They're focusing on discovering that moment. They're not thinking about the past. They're not worried about the future. They're in the now.
Well, the now is where all the power is. And I think most of us are caught up in something that took place in the past. Maybe we haven't forgotten or maybe we haven't forgiven. And I also think too many of us are focused on the future because we're thinking about what we're going to do later or what's going to happen later. But from a spiritual standpoint and a practical standpoint, your strength, your power, your opportunity is in this moment. The past doesn't even exist except as a memory in this moment. The future doesn't exist except as a possibility in this moment. So it's a little bit of deception to think, oh, we're going to do something in the past to change it. We're going to do something in the future to create it, where all the power is right here in this moment. This is the miracle. This is what we're after. It's here right now.
Amazing. Do you feel you've, on the business side, that you've become a more of a marketeer as well? Or because to be in business, you in a way a business, right? You have your books, you have your speaking gigs, you have your mark. So where do you think you've grown as from a copywriter, as a writer, to what you are today?
Learning to be a copywriter and a marketer changed my entire life. I've applied those skills to everything I have ever done. You mentioned the movie The Secret earlier. One of the reasons that I am one of the 3 or 4 or 5 that stand out the most in the movie
Yeah.
is I spoke as a copywriter. You don't think of that when you're watching the movie, but I learned how to write, I learned how to speak, I learned how to communicate from what I learned from copywriting. There's some very key basic bottom line things that I learned from people like Dale Carnegie and some of the great marketers and some of the great copywriters. And one is people are interested in themselves. They don't care about me. So when I speak, I have to address what's on their mind, what's their concern. This goes right back to copywriting. And one of the reasons my book started to do well a long time ago is that I learned marketing. I learned about publicity. I learned about advertising. I learned about publicity stunts. I was a disciple of P.T. Barnum. I wrote a book on P.T. Barnum, the great circus showman. The book's called There's a Customer Born Every Minute. It deeply influenced me. I realize every one of us and everybody watching you or listening to this, we all have competition. Especially today, there's more competition than ever before because of the internet, and everybody can do everything with clicks and websites and this, that, and the other. How are you going to stand out? Marketing, publicity, doing something different. That's how you're going to stand out. I learned all of this from marketing and copywriting, and I absolutely still love it. I love what
I
I
feel
learned.
it.
I love what it did for me, and I love what it's still doing for me.
What's your feeling towards money? And
Yeah,
has
that's a
that
great
changed?
question,
And
too. You
has
know,
that
this is a
changed?
subject I've written a lot about. I wrote Money Loves Speed, The Awakened Millionaire, Attract Money Now, and probably a few other books I've forgotten. And most people have a very bad attitude towards money. They all think, and I did too, that money is the root of all, and we all say evil. Well, if you think it's evil, you're not going to want it in your life. So subconsciously, you push money away. I had to learn that money is a tool, money is a gift, and all money does is kind of let you keep score in the game of business. It's not about money. It could be something else. In the early days, we traded goats for furs or whatever it was. That was our means of exchange. Money is our means of exchange now. My biggest takeaway with money is that money is a tool to say thank you. When I write a check for electricity for utilities, I'm basically saying, thank you for my electricity. I need it for the internet. I need it for lights. You know, if I write a check for, I just bought a brand new home. We just moved to California and here we are. When I write a check for the mortgage, I'm basically saying, thank you for my house. So when I transform the idea of money being bad or tainted or evil into a way to say thank you and a way to keep score, now it's now it's fair game to have as much money as you want because it's not bad.
Amazing. What do you think stops most people from succeeding in life?
There's a lot of things that stop people from succeeding. Everything from first, they don't even know what they want. So they're saying, I want to be a success, but they can't articulate what they want to be a success at. So you need to know what you want. The second thing is they don't align their beliefs. Most people are feeling like they're not good enough in some way, shape, or form. So they're feeling like I don't even deserve success. And so unconsciously, they can sabotage their own efforts. The third thing is, and this is maybe the biggest, is they don't take action. You talked about action early on. I'm a big action guy. I love The Secret. I love visualization. I love intention. I love meditation. But I've often said if all I did was visualize being an author, but I never went to the typewriter in the early days or the computer today, I would have no books. I'd have to at some point start typing. That's action. So I would say the third thing is they don't take action, and action is nothing happens until something moves, and you have to be the one to start the movement. So the third thing is action.
That's beautiful. What drives you to get up, apart from my podcast early in the morning? What drives you every single day to get up and keep writing, keep contributing? How, where do you spend most of your time? Are you more connected to earth? Do you meditate? Do you do loads of podcasts? Do you do
Yeah.
seminars?
Well, first of all, I do it all. And so, yes, I have my own podcast. Yes, I have my own online television show. Yes, I'm writing new books. Yes, I am promoting old books and books that are currently out there. Yes, I do have gratitude time. I get in the hot tub virtually every day. And that's my thank you to the universe, where I'm meditating and I'm disconnected. I don't take my phone in there. And I think that's another secret to success. Get off the media, get off the internet, get
Focus, the
off all of the
noise.
things that distract you,
Yes.
and make time for what I call the silence. And so, with all of this that I'm doing every day, at the end of the day, I get in the hot tub and I'm saying thank you to the divine. And I'm also available if it wants to send a message to me that I've received through my heart about the next thing to do, the next thing to write, the next thing to sing, the next thing, whatever it would happen to be. And I read every day. I still love books. I've loved books since I was a little kid. So I make time for all of it, just kind of balanced with a natural flow that organically takes place throughout the day.
So is your day systemized, diarized, or you just go with the flow where you feel like it?
It's a combination of both. There are some things that are to dos that are solid, like this interview. You didn't want me just to show up when I showed up. You needed me to show up at a particular time. So that time is on my calendar. It's on my little to do list. I have a little card where I put things on for the day. But between those to dos, there's solid to dos that I have to do by appointment. Between all of that, so I'm going to read, I'm going to write, I'm going to go for a walk, I'm going to go in the hot tub, I'm going to do something. And I don't know what it might be, but I've left room for something creative in an improv, surprising kind of way to show up.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, by the way. I really appreciate this. I value everything you're saying. I really do. I hope it comes across that I value it. I'm totally
Yes,
engaged.
I
Has your priorities changed as you don't need it anymore? Before you needed it to pay the bills. Now the priorities, have they changed? Mine's changed through time because I think with knockbacks, I'm more clear with my values and my boundaries. So I pick and choose my days more depending on what inspires me, yes or no. So how do you pick your priorities? Because you didn't have to say yes to me. You didn't have to say I make the time. And I really appreciate the fact that you have done, and I'm going to make it worth both our while. So how do you prioritize?
have a rule of thumb. And that rule of thumb is to ask the question, is it a yes? Is it a no? Is it a maybe? So when something comes to me as an opportunity, let's go on this podcast, I have to intellectually look at who is this person? Why do they want me on there? What are they doing? What are they saying in the world? But I also have to intuitively kind of feel it out in my heart to go, does this person and their audience feel like it's a match to me? Is this something that's coming up for me to do? If it's a solid yes, I say yes. But if it's a maybe, I say no.
Wow.
It's an internal rule of thumb that's working for me. So I
Wow.
ask, is it a yes, no, or maybe? If it's not a yes, then
It's no
pass.
all the way. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Because I think the most difficult part is learning to say no. Because when you're an optimist, when you believe in abundance, it's easy to say yes to every opportunity. And then
Right.
you can disperse yourself, you dilute yourself.
Yeah, I'm at my best when I'm actually having more of a balanced life.
Yes.
There was a time, especially after The Secret came out, and everybody wanted me. They wanted me for shows. They wanted me speaking. They wanted me book signing. They wanted me to do this. They wanted me to do that. I did try to say yes for a long time. But then I started to crumble. I couldn't keep the energy up. I couldn't keep the enthusiasm up. I couldn't keep my own optimism up. And I started to resent it. And I thought, oh, I've got to back off and I've got to be picky about my peanut butter, so to speak. And I got to learn to say yes to some, no to some, later to somebody else, maybe, but not just blindly, automatically, robotically say yes.
Yes. I
If
think
I did, I couldn't take care of
yeah, I think
me.
some of
And
it
then I
is
couldn't
driven,
take care of anybody
yeah,
else.
some of it is driven by the fear of going back to having nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and
Right.
like the opportunities here, let's take it. Yes. Take that, because yesterday I didn't have those opportunities. And then later on, when that desperation comes out, you think, hang on a second, I can pick and choose my opportunities, because some of them are bad opportunities. They drain you of your resources, your energy, your time.
Yeah. That's a great insight. You are absolutely correct. You have to pick and choose because not all of the opportunities are created equal.
Yes.
And this comes back to where you have to take care of yourself. You have to look at the opportunity intellectually and kind of balance the pros and cons, but you also have to tune into your gut, to your heart, to your inner compass
Yes.
to find out, is this right for me? Should I do it? There were opportunities that I took that there were no real evidence that this was going to be worth my time. But because I liked the person or I liked the moment or something in me resonated, I said, yeah, I'll do this.
Amazing.
There's no hard rules to go and say which ones I say yes to outside of kind of feeling my way through the yes, no, maybe.
So when I've got you on this, how do you feel about traveling to Dubai again?
Again, well, now I can do it. During the pandemic, I also went through a divorce,
Yes.
also lost my parents,
I'm sorry to
also
hear.
lost my best friend, also had a family member attempt suicide. So for the last 5 or 6 years, I didn't want to go anywhere and I couldn't go anywhere. It was too dark during all of that time. But now, the world's opening up
When it was dark,
and I went
when it was dark, were you more prolific when you write in your writings, or did you go dark and more working on yourself within?
I went dark. I was less prolific. I got up in the morning and I post Instagram videos virtually every day. And I would post an Instagram video. I would put on a smiling face. I'd bring my energy up. I'd have some sort of message that I thought would help other people.
Wow.
I would deliver it. And then I would be pretty much in tears
Wow.
because of what I was going through with a divorce, pandemic, the unknown, all these grieves and these funerals and everything
Yes.
else. So I would be able to perk myself up enough to help people for a little bit. And then the rest of it, I needed to help me.
Amazing. So even yourself have down times. Even yourself, you need fixed times. You need to focus on yourself.
I think that's the biggest lesson for all of us. Too many people watch the movie The Secret, they read the self-help books, they read the success literature, and they think, I got it. Everything's going to be fine now. I know how to create my reality. I'm going to go right to the finish line, and I'm going to get the trophy, the money, and everything else. Life doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Life's going to have a pothole in it. It's going to have a surprise. It's going to rain, snow, sleet. There might be an earthquake. There's going to be something to rattle you. And unless you know that's part of the life experience, it could stop you.
Absolutely.
That's why I say it's part of the problem out there is a lot of people think, okay, I got it. They start going forward. They have one bad day and they quit. They have one bad day and they give up. They have one bad day and they think none of this stuff works. It's all BS.
Yes.
No, it does work. In fact, that's what'll get you through those days. Refocus on your vision, refocus on your intention, refocus on your why, buck up, get through that day, and there will be easier days. But thinking it's all going to be sunshine and roses and unicorns and
No.
ice cream or whatever people think is the goodies of the day, no, it's not going to be like that.
I have a saying that I like you to get your feedback. I say that wake up hoping for problems. And that the bigger problems you have, the wealthier you get, the stronger
Right.
you get. So you never get
Right.
disappointed. And if problems didn't come in your life, you're not actually having a fruitful life. it's almost too easy because growth comes from challenges and problems. And what you
Right.
find, people like Elon Musk, monetary wise, the bigger the problem they fix, the richer they get.
Right.
So you can never get disappointed. You can never complain about problems because you're thinking the problems are coming to me to solve them. And if you're a problem solver, you are going to win in life.
Yeah. You know, I mentioned the fellow that I helped write the book. His name is Andres Pirro. His book is called Homeless to Billionaire. And I said he's 35 years old. He is running the largest real estate empire in Thailand at 35. He has 20 other businesses. And I was with him and I said, how do you handle all of this stress? How do you handle all of this unpredictable nature with all these employees, all these different businesses? And all these challenges that show up every day. Because I was thinking, I'm not sure I can do that at 70, and he's doing it at 35. And he said, I like problems.
Wow.
And
It's
it shifted
mindset.
me because I shifted my mindset. I said, wait a minute, I'm thinking problems are bad and I don't want problems. He's thinking problems are good,
He
problems
says,
are
bring them on.
opportunities, and he
Yeah.
kind of likes them.
Yeah.
And he says, I like the challenge of figuring them out. He says it's a little bit like a chess game. You know, there's different maneuvers that you make in chess to win. And it shifted my whole perspective about problems because I'm living my life wanting to shun them and thinking, oh, I'm in the movie The Secret. I know all of these different techniques. I don't need problems. And it's like, wait a minute, problems are actually gifts.
Exactly.
They open you and they open new possibilities for you.
And if they come into you
So,
because you're
yes,
trying new things, you coming out with the solutions. You have the gift to look at those solutions, and you get rewarded. Like this gentleman's got 20 odd businesses. Look at his wealth
right.
and his life.
Yeah.
Amazing. Is there
Yeah.
anybody in particular right now living that you admire?
Yeah, lots of people. Probably because his new book just came out, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
He just wrote a book
Have you
called
met
Be
him?
Useful. It just arrived yesterday.
Have you met him, Doctor?
Uh, No, I've been in the room with him for a private movie premiere, but I've not met him. One of my goals is to have a cigar with him. He loves Cuban cigars, so do I, and I would love to sit with him and talk about life, fitness, visions, intentions, all of the stuff he's known for. He is a force of nature.
He really is. 3 different sectors. He's become number one: movie business, health business, and politics.
Yep.
And
And now
now,
as an author,
yes,
his book is all over the place, and I do recommend it. Be Useful is an excellent book, but he's
I
one of
will
the
see
people
it.
that come to mind.
I will read it. Thank you so much. Did you ever meet Dr. Wayne Dyer?
Briefly on a beach in Maui, many, many years ago, he was with a bunch of people and they were walking, and I was smoking a cigar walking the other way. And I just saw him and I just said, "Hi, Wayne, thank you." And he stopped to look to see who it was, but we didn't exchange anything.
Engage,
We
yeah.
didn't talk.
I would say he saved my life. Listening to
Yes.
him over and over again on CDs, and Tony Robbins as well. But you were there before Tony was, so yeah, amazing, Doctor. If you could
Well,
wave
they
a
all influenced me too. Tony influenced me. Wayne influenced me. Arnold is influenced.
yeah,
I've been influenced by lots of
many
people,
people.
many of which I've met, most of which I never met. I met them through their books. When P.T. Barnum wrote his autobiography, I felt like he was writing to me. And in many ways, his spirit was alive in that book. And so
Amazing.
when I'm reading his book, I'm having coffee with him.
Amazing.
And it's the same with most of the people that have influenced me. Some I've gotten to meet, but yeah.
Often I say to myself, if, for instance, if Arnold Schwarzenegger was here, how would he respond to that problem? What would he think?
Right.
And I am actually a loner. I'm an introvert, but I have a huge peer group, and they don't know me, but I feel I know them because I ask the right questions. I invite them, depending in that board meeting, the challenges I'm having, how they would behave if they were here. And it's incredible, the quality of the answers and the quality of questions you ask. And most
Yep,
people
I
ask
would
the,
agree with that.
yeah, most people
And
ask
I'm
the
an
wrong
introvert, by
questions.
the way.
Yeah.
People think because I'm on stages or they've seen film footage of me or they see me being animated, they're going, "Oh, he's a big introvert. He loves parties." It's like, no, I prefer a library
Yes.
or a
Yes.
bookstore.
Yes.
I'm very introverted. I can be extroverted for short periods of time, a big burst of energy and lightning and thunder, But then it's back to, well, what am I reading?
Amazing. Same here. Um, I forgot to ask you about your music because I'm actually funny. It's amazing because I'm writing music and I've
Huh?
got two tracks out, but mine is more lounge type of music. I
Mhm.
imagine about 20 odd years ago, I was in Porto Banús and I was sitting in this lounge bar area and I had the six pack, the sun was shining, the music was amazing, the yachts were outside, and I thought if I die right now, this is the time. And then I want to create that moment through my music. Tell me about your
Ah.
music. I'm thinking if I, 30 years ago, whenever it was, sitting there, would I listen to the music? Would I feel that good? And that's the
Mm.
music. And I'm gonna bring 10 tracks out by Christmas. But tell me about your music and what it relaxes me.
Well, I love music. And 10 years ago, when I turned 60, I looked around and I thought, what was on my bucket list? Because I had done so much, and I thought, what is left undone? And I remembered music. And I said, you know what? I'm going to set an intention. I want to learn how to write songs, play the guitar, sing, go in a studio, and actually record some music. And the very first thing that happened, and I always tell this because I want people to know how hard it is when you state that you're going to do something you've never done before. The very first thing that happened was terror. Terror. I started thinking, what is this? What if this is the worst mistake of my life? What if I'm completely leaving what is known and what is working with my books, my speaking, the movies, and I'm going over to something I don't know, music, and I bomb at it? I went through all of that dark night of questioning, which is what we all do. But I realized, no, I really want this. And I also know you can always get help. You get coaches, you get mentors, which I've always believed in. You get the books, you get the training, you get whatever you need to make it happen. So as a result, I have recorded 15 albums so far. Six of them are singer songwriter albums, and the rest of them are more instrumental, kind of new agey, relaxing, lounge, as you say, kind of music. And I have had a blast doing all of it. Some of the music has been nominated for awards. Some of the songs were nominated for the Posy Award, which is the positive music's, the Grammys of positive music. I've had a couple of the tunes used in movies as background soundtracks, kind of things. I've been on stage with my band.
So it's not just guitar, you have a band.
Yes, the Band of Legends. And the Band of
Amazing.
Legends is far more experienced than me. They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They've got decades of experience. I'm the newbie here, and being with them has elevated me. So I became better quicker because I was with people who were already seasoned professionals.
Amazing. But you attracted them. They said, hey, he might not know much. He's a newbie, but bring him in. Bring him on
Yep,
board.
bring them in.
So if I
And
if
yes, and
so
I
if
think they were attracted to my spirit, my energy, my willingness to do something big when I didn't really have any experience to do it. And the very first time we were in the studio together and we did our very first rehearsal track, and there's this phrase where I have to sing out pretty loudly the word strut, and I do it with such volcanic energy. They all felt it. And I think that was the turning point. They were like, Joe's in this all the way. He's doing this. And I got chills right now reliving that moment. And so they encouraged me, they uplifted me, they contributed. And those albums and everything, I'm incredibly proud of.
amazing. So if I go to Spotify and search for legends,
You would probably look for my name because it's Dr. Joe Vitale and the Band of
okay.
Legends. The most recent album was called The Great Something, right before the pandemic kind of separated all of us. But The Great Something is out there,
By the way,
and I
I
dedicated
pronounce your
it to
name
Melissa
I
Etheridge. Yes.
apologize. I pronounce your name Vitali. It's Vitali.
Well, it all depends what part of the earth you're from,
Okay.
because I've lived in Texas for the last 50 some years, and it's Vital and Vitally and all kind of things. But I think in Italian, it would be more like Vitali,
Vitali. Okay. So I didn't want to
life
offend.
energy,
Thank you.
vitality. That's
Doctor,
what
we
it means.
got to almost an hour. And how do you feel about coming to Dubai and spending some time with us? I'll be
I
absolutely
would love to.
honored.
I would love to come to Dubai. I doubt that I could do it so quickly, because January is very, very quick. We just moved here, and there's a lot of things happening. So, but scheduling it out for some other event
I'll make an event
that
around you. And what you have to tell
what
me is if you're going to spend 4 or 5 days here, I really want you to put it out there in the universe. How would you like to spend it? 3 days on the beach, 2 days book signing, 1 day on an event, whatever you want to know. Just put it together and let's
Okay.
make this happen.
Wonderful. And I love the open-endedness of it. Just put it together and let's make it happen. Traditionally, when I've gone places, especially other countries, I always like to do the work on the second day after I arrive. And then the rest of it, I'm on vacation.
Done.
So I can explore the city or the
Done.
country or whatever it is.
I can't. When you were here last time, were you working or were you on a vacation? And how long were you
No,
here?
I was working. I rarely go places without it being work first, and then I tie in vacation to it. And so that was, 5 or 6 years ago.
Where did you stay? Do you remember where you stayed?
No. I also went to Iran. I spoke there.
Wow.
I went to Kish Island.
Kish Island is
and
you know what, where people who, let's say we had expats like Filipinos and stuff, and if they want to renew the visa, they send them to Kish Island, and then they renew their visas and come back because it's only a short flight. But then I'm Iranian born, and I love Iran. I'm a proud Iranian with a British passport. I'm proud of my heritage.
I'll tell you, the most generous, kind, loving people were the Iranians. I have gifts in my office here from so many people who brought me things they either made or were unique to the country. And I still have them. And when they started going through government problems over there, they were reaching out to me thinking I was going to somehow solve it. And so I have a really soft spot in my heart for that entire country.
Thank you. I'm sure they love your message. And I'm sure you've been translated to Farsi, right? Your books have been translated.
Yes.
And did you speak there? Did you speak on stage?
Yes.
So you spoke and it was
2
translated.
times.
Wow. And did you speak in Dubai?
I spoke in Dubai. I spoke in Kuwait. I spoke in all those places. Yes.
We'll bring you here. We'll get you on stage and we'll do a most amazing event. It'll be my honor to have you here and we'll take care of you.
Thank you. I accept.
Please. Thank you so much. And thank you for waking up so early. I honor you, sir. I salute you, Gladiator.
You have totally awakened me with your energy, your questions, and this whole moment. I went from feeling sleepy to going, oh my God, I can go run a marathon.
I'm inspired. Thank you so much, Doctor. It's been an absolute honor, and I'll be privileged to have you here. And maybe we can do this again another time. It really will be a privilege. Thank you for your knowledge. Your force for good, and please keep it up and look after your health, please. We need you to be here many, many years to come.
Thank you. Thank you.
I honor you, Doctor. Thank you.